Seems like I was born to struggle. The life of a washerwoman is hard. I'd scrub my fingers to the bone for pennies. Most days, I can't even make ends meet. After a while, I guess I just lost hope. Forgot how to dream. That's when my hair started falling out. My husband, Davis, only made things worse. He was arrested, and when he came back, he was a changed man.
You look like a mangy dog.
Baby, wait, don't go. Please, Davis. I was devastated. Didn't know what I was gonna do. I used to wonder, if God don't like ugly, why did he make me? There's so much beauty in this world. How come I got so little?
Okay. This is a series that I wanted to do and had promised to do, talking about the negative male cliches that we see in the Netflix series Self-Made, the story of Madam C.J. Walker, inspired by the story of Madam C.J. Walker, because they took a lot of artistic licenses in this particular story. And Dr. Tiasan Johnson actually did a review of it, and what impacted him was not her story, but the many, many negative male cliches that were actually in the story, where basically she is mentally and emotionally abusive to most of the male interactions that she has on the show. So it is a 100-year-old story, but actually with a lot of modern, what I call black feminists and sometimes even black womanists, gynocratic, gynocentric cliches, and that have been passed around for hundreds of years, and some for the last 30, 40, maybe 50 years. So I decided to actually start with the minor characters, because that's easy to tell, because to tell the story of the more complex characters like her husband, her third husband, because he's throughout the whole show, and that's a little bit more detailed. But I'm going to start with the first two, because like I said, their screen time is very short. So when this one, I'm going to talk about the abusive cliche, the abusive thug ne'er-do-well that she can't kick, the dysfunctional alpha male that she's addicted to, especially when she's poor. And in this particular scene, you see that the struggling, strong black woman trying to keep herself together. You know, all my life I had to fight, right? And she's down, she's struggling, and her husband, Davis, comes home after being in prison. Where have we heard that one before? And she's at the point, she is at her lowest ebb, where her hair's falling out, where she's struggling, where she's having a hard time. And he gets home, and instead of helping her, he puts her down. He calls her a mangy dog, and he attacks her and stabs her in the arm and runs off. So we get almost like a 3-for-1. A no good dude comes home, doesn't help, that is violent, puts her self-esteem down, you know, because she's got her self-esteem on the plate. So attacks her self-esteem while attacking her physically, and then abandons her, because at the end of the scene, she's running, bleeding after him, talking about where you're going to go, what you're going to do. Basically, don't leave me. And then she sits at the table bleeding, devastated. So we basically get a 3-for-1. The no good daddy that abandons the family, because when we never really see her youngest daughter, abandons the family, runs out, and leaves her alone, which is something that black women say black men do all the time. We're violent, we're lazy, we go to prison, we aren't any good, and they try mightily to love us and protect us and take care of us, and we attack their self-esteem, attack their bodies, and then run off, leaving them to handle and clean up the mess. I mean, this is like within the first 5 minutes of the film, because in this series, the first 20 minutes, I stopped this thing 5 times because they kept tripping over the cliches. And there's so many triggering cliches in this series, it's absolutely ridiculous. What I'm saying is this is probably, just in one scene, this goes back to Miss Seeley in Color Purple, where she's used to getting beaten and abused and raped and attacked and called ugly. Like, I think it was the scene in Color Purple when Mr. brought Seeley home and her kids called her ugly and hit her in the head with a rock and ran off. And nobody's there to care for her. She's got to be strong and she's got to persevere over these insurmountable odds. And that her biggest impediment is not the world, but her man, who's the worst. But she can't seem to let go of him. And this is all within a matter of, I would say, 30 seconds, where he comes in and he does this damage, say the injuring words, like you look like a mangy dog, and he runs off, and that encapsulates what black women think that black men really are, for the vast majority of us. And it's what black mothers tell their daughters, this is who we are. Because no matter where you look, whether it's on Twitter with educated women, whether it's on Facebook with non-educated women, or even on YouTube, you can see those three memes, those three cliches talked about black men across the board. They constantly coming up, and this is within the first 5 minutes of the film, and basically not even a 1 minute clip, and he doesn't even have like 20 seconds of screen time, but it encapsulates what black women think about us, and basically it gives them permission to mistreat the black men hereafter in this series, that they don't deserve respect or acknowledgement or even care. She's abusive to all the rest of the men, but the thing is, it's been justified by the first 30 seconds. But anyway, this is the first one. This is the first cliche. Don't want to take too long because it's a very short clip. I think there's about 4 or 5 more that I've identified, and I'll put Dr. Johnson's review into the description. You can go check out, see what he says. There's all kinds of things. There's colorism, there's lesbianism, there's some talk about racism, but not a lot. This is in-house black struggles with the black myths and cliches that we struggle with: class, beauty standards, and interpersonal relationships, all kinds of stuff that we have to deal with. But, as it comes up, we'll actually identify him, but this one is the violent thug. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.